Okay, hey everyone, it's Deathclock1637 here, and I'm going to bring you a guide to leveling in D3 in with as much info as I can give you from everything that I've done. And this guide will apply from Season 21 onwards because the game really isn't changing that much from the core mechanics perspective. Um, I really didn't feel like doing a guide before this was really that constructive because certain things in the game were still changing, and a lot of things were added over time that would make a lot of those old guides pretty irrelevant. So I'm not even going to put, season whatever leveling. I'm just going to label it as a general guide. So, what do you need to know first? The first and basic principle of Diablo 3 is that the game scales with you. So you're making the game harder as you level, basically. And that may seem like a weird concept, but that's really how it works. The game is only as hard as you can make it. So being at level 1 to do things early is the best you can do. And if you just bought the game and you're in story mode, that's a good way to get through the story quickly, is controlling your levels. And that's what a lot of people who speedrun the game in the past would have done, is tried to be as low level as possible when getting to Malthael, for example. If you're standing around killing a lot of things, you'll probably get 20 to 30 levels, but you can accomplish that much sooner. So getting back into it, I'm going to talk about what to do at level 1. So you can pick any class. I'm going to use the monk as a reference. And you should really give your characters memorable names. So we're just going to go ahead and create. So you've created your character. Some people like to get into the game just to kind of, I guess, register that they've started the season, so you can do that. Just press start. Come back out into the menu, and first thing you want to do is the challenge rift. So once you do the challenge rift, you'll get your bounty cache. You'll have talked to Alira. So you go in, create a new game on normal. And once you're spawned in, ignore the Paragon levels. I'm not even going to assign them because they're irrelevant. Task number 1, take your Templar's weapon, or the follower that's appropriate to your class. Why is this important? Because a lot of the weapons that the heroes start out with are about 3 DPS, but the javelin I just stole from the Templar is 7.2, which puts my damage way higher, and you can see the change from 3.38 to now 8.12. Once you have that weapon, and you've more than doubled your damage, at least in the monk's case, you can go and get the cube. And where is that? That is in Act 3 of the Ruins of Sescheron. You'll have to go through the main area into the secondary area, and you'll find a little pedestal with a cube on it. You'll pick up a lore book, which will also give you experience early on, and come back to town. The best thing you can do for yourself, because like I said, the game gets harder as you level up. If you go too quickly and you have a really low level weapon, you won't be able to match up against the monsters you're fighting because their damage and health will have gone up. And with your newfound bounty materials, you can basically upgrade every artisan to maximum level, and that opens up every single good craft that will benefit you. So since we're using a monk, we have staffs available, and we also have two-handed axes. Two-handed axes, in my opinion, are some of the best ones because they start at some of the lowest levels at 8. And as you're leveling, these will burn up pretty fast. Getting to 16 is no big deal, 21, and so on and so forth. But the main thing you'll want to have open is the level 70 crafts for both staffs and two-handed axes, pardon me. The sovereign ones are going to be what you're aiming for. So another good thing to do at a low level, um, actually let's continue with the weapons thing so I can finish off that topic. So you'll have your upgraded artisans and you'll have your level 70 crafts available. So I'm going to use the staff as an example. There are a lot of options that you can get, so I'm going to craft a few of these just to show the difference between a good and bad craft. Okay, perfect. Best of both worlds. Pardon me. So, this is a bad craft. Why is it a bad craft? I'll show you. Roll the socket, which is amazing, but if you go to either one of these secondary stats as they're categorized and click the question mark, you'll see that a lot of crowd control is available in the pool with level requirement reduced. The best outcome you can get is this. Something that has reduced level something that has, pardon me, any of the control effects, because it will reduce the secondary stats that you can get on whatever else rolled to these. You do not want to touch this because this is helping you out a ton. Since gold is going to be in relatively short supply with your materials, I wouldn't suggest going past like 3 rolls maximum. Generally 1 or 2 is advisable. So I'm going to demonstrate on this weapon by crafting it. See, I already got level requirement reduced by 8, but I lost the craft because I switched tabs. Be careful, don't do that. 8 is pretty low. But you'll just want to do as good as you can. I'm going to see if I can get a high one. There we go. 25. Beautiful. So now this weapon went from being usable at level 70 only to now level 45. And I can just salvage the other one. And what I'll want to do is stash this for later. So I'll just put it here. This is going to be empty, so all this stuff is really irrelevant for now. But we'll just put it there. And that is going to help me with difficulty scaling later on, because I'll have my weapon, I'll go out into the world, and if I'm still going solo, I'll want to go and get kill streak bonuses. These will help because it multiplies the amount of XP that you get after the bonus expires up to like 4, I think. But getting at least 100 kills each time is going to save you a lot of time, and going into a lot of the early areas like Halls of Agony 2 or 3, Field of Misery, Weeping Hollow, and the Festering Woods is a good one as well. This is a nice tightly packed area that's in a nice circle, and you should be able to transit between packs fast enough to keep your bonus up. And that's going to be important because with a lot of practice you can keep that around 100 kill mark. It's also a bit of RNG as well, but you may only get 20 or 30 early on. So with my perfectly named character, I've gone through some stuff you can do early. I believe I mentioned the cube, but if I haven't, I'll say it again. Act 3 Ruins of Sescheron. We'll have our cube, we'll have our artisans. So this staff is also valuable for another reason beyond the low level requirement. So once I do reach 70, what I can do for an early weapon is get to the cube, go to the upgrade recipe when I have enough deaths to breaths, and pop it. and boom, I have a legendary weapon all to myself for level 70, and it's a huge damage boost. Another thing you can do with any low level weapon is go to your cube, open up the recipes, and extract the legendary power from it, which you'll be definitely able to do after that challenge rift bounty cache. You'll have to do a bit more exploring for the upgrade recipe, but this is a good thing to keep in mind. One of the first items you'll find in the game is Leoric's Crown. What you should not do, in my opinion, is sacrifice good gear levels for experience gains. So what that means is if you find a low level Leoric's Crown, don't keep it on until you're 70, because the tooltip DPS is going to matter the most, and it's a lot safer to take that crown and cube it once you've out-leveled it. A good general practice for leveling is equip stuff that has at least a 5% DPS increase. The 0.1 or 0.2 is not very good. Another good thing to do at low level is boss bounties. Magda is going to be a good one, or I believe the Butcher or Asmodan. Anything that will give you the bounty box right away that has a question mark, has an exclamation mark. From there, you have a possibility of getting crafting recipes, and some of the very good early ones are going to be canes, and as you can see, it has 50% experience on a very low level requirement, which again, reinforcing the point, don't sacrifice better gear for that experience, because it holds you back in a lot of other ways. Since you can't transmute and collect set bonuses in the cube, it's fine if you want to wait and hunt for goblins, because those can give you higher level recipes as well. So we've gone through everything at level 1. The artisans will help you out a lot. Once you get to 70, you might have a real mix of gear on you, so you can go back to the artisan and craft level 70 versions of your whole loadout, minus the jewelry, which you can do at the jeweler over there. Get a couple rings and an amulet. Extra XP from monsters is good all the time. You can sell off any early jewels, upgrade any early gems along the way if you want to in your crown if you get it. Some people don't feel like that's a great strategy. They might prefer to find it on the way, and that's perfectly good as well, because you're probably going to find a higher level Leorix anyway from story mode, outside of story mode, and you'll level up a lot faster. It's also worth noting that the level up effect does do a percent weapon damage. I believe it's 10,000. That's very noticeable early on, because it can clear out stuff if you happen to be stuck and getting to a level very soon. So you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm controlling how hard the game is, so what difficulty should I start on? So I'm going to leave the game and show you just some easy things you can do. Assuming you're doing softcore, you can go to the game settings, go to change, and we'll see that in this area there's a lot of possibilities. The first biggest XP jump, as you can see on this side, hard difficulty. Nice and easy, 75%. Now, from hard to expert, there's not going to be much. This is a much safer area to be on if you're concerned with your character's safety, especially on hardcore. The next biggest jump is going to be at master difficulty, because we're going from 75 to 200 XP bonus, and then the next one is going to be Torment 1. and Torment 6 is going to be the highest, which is 1600%. And you'll get a lot of extra benefits from the items at level 70, but again, we're still talking the journey up to that. So the only problem with the Torment difficulties is that around level 64 or 65, the game is going to become much harder, and you won't really be able to really wreck things at that level without that level reduced requirement weapon. And it might get really tough, so I would say go down to Master or Torment 1. And if you're really, really having trouble, go back down to hard at hard at the lowest level, because normal isn't going to give you that extra boost, and it's going to take you the longest at this difficulty. If you're on hardcore, ideally you'll be in a group, and you won't have to deal with the massacre bonuses. Especially in softcore, grouping up and having the strength in numbers bonus is going to be the best thing for your character. Let's delete this guy because we don't need him anymore. A lot of the classes in D3 will have a late cheat death mechanic, which means a lot of them come around level 60 in that area. One of the earliest benefiting classes is going to be the Barbarian. He gets his in the first row. So he'll be able to equip that very early on, and since Whirlwind is still a very good build this season, he is a very safe option, although his cheap death is not the greatest. Honestly, the Crusaders is one of the best ones you can get. Pardon me. Yeah, so separating group strategies from solo, you might be thinking, well, why is it bad for massacre bonuses in a group? And the answer is because it's very inconsistent, and who the bonus goes to kind of depends. So it can fall off of you really fast in a group, and it just kills the whole thing. Pardon me. Another thing is you can start doing your season journey at any point. The way you see that is Control J, and since we're not in a season, it's not going to show me. But there are a lot of things that will just say kill this boss, and you get the objective, and you only get the bounty cash after completing the level 2, 3, and 4. And you can't get your set bonus, your free set items before then, because a requirement of completing the second stage season journey is becoming level 70. And those items actually do have a chance to be ancient, so you can get extra lucky there. But doing chapter 1 is going to be very easy, even as you're leveling. It can detract from the leveling that you're doing, because it does take extra time to get to those bosses. So if you're in a group, you may decide to just say, okay, you know what, forget the season journey for now. And a lot of things can be accomplished in tandem, such as doing low-level bounties and killing bosses, because they can show up as bounties as well. So you can knock two things off at once. And you can even do later objectives before they're assigned. So you can do like your gem leveling, and it will give you later season journey rewards. And you can even see them now, because they exposed that information, whereas before they did not. So after you're level 70, what do you want to do? Start farming greater rift keys. So assuming you've done your weapon crafting, and say you haven't found anything useful on your weapon, you'll have some death's breath because it start dropping around level 60. You can make it a legendary item, have extra damage, start going into the T1, T2 range, T3 if you can handle it. A lot of the early set bonuses are based around utility, so you won't really get a huge damage boost until you have the whole thing. Um, Doing early bounties in Act 1 will get you has possibility of getting you the Royal Ring of Grandeur, which is an amazing early game find. And as I said before, you can cube any early level items. Sorry if I didn't mention that actually. Yeah, so you can cube it, and if you happen to find a fifth piece of your set early on, after you're level 70, just equip it, pop a cube, no problem, done. If you have your Leorc's Crown cubed early on, also great. There are certain items for certain builds that you can get early on. I'm not going to mention them in this video because there's just too many of them at this point. But you can look on the Diablo 3 website and see what level requirements certain things have, and sort of pause around that point and use blood shards that you've gained to try and gamble those things. Any sort of fringe strategies that you can use are, like I said, getting that early Leorc's Crown in story mode, which isn't really that efficient. If you find any pools of reflection, you can get them, but they are going to burn off fast below Paragon like 500. You should be able to get those levels early and very rapidly. And yeah, any greater rifts you do, just do the fastest one you can. There are going to be a lot of power spikes, and the gear that you want will depend on what you're aiming for. A great class to start off with that will gear very easily is Demon Hunter this season, with the very limited amount of daggers that are available for the free set. Another great set to go into early on is the Unhallowed Essence. But that takes bows, and daggers are much easier for Shadow and Pale, which is the free one for this season, like I said. And yeah, outside of that, key is just have fun. You may not want to be that efficient leveling, and you may just want to mess around with your friends, which is perfectly okay. And yeah, have fun, happy hunting, and I'll be live on Twitch with this season starting on Friday, which is tomorrow as of the recording of this video. I did want to get it out. Just as a note, I am at my 2 years affiliated, so I am going to be celebrating that as well in my stream. So feel free to come by, ask me for some tips, and yeah, let's go. Thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by, and hope to see you soon. Peace out.